Stavridis, is there a military solution that you can see which would end the killing in Syria that's fueling the exodus of refugees through neighbouring countries into Europe?
No, Laura, I think there is zero possibility of a military solution. This is a classic example of the kind of problem that requires some military, but absolutely economic, diplomatic, political, cultural communication. This requires a 360 set of tools.
None of which seem to be there. And now we're hearing reports that the US administration is monitoring of a Russian military build-up inside Syria. How concerned are you by what could be a Russian attempt to back up President Assad?
I think it is counterproductive. Russia would be very welcome to join the anti-Islamic State coalition. At last count, there were 45 nations in that coalition, along with the United States and almost all of the NATO nations. But simply inserting itself into a brutal civil war on the side of a horrific regime is only going to be counterproductive and will prolong the violence, unfortunately.
How about this administration's attempts to back up the moderate Syrian rebels? It doesn't seem to have had much success so far. Do you have confidence it could work down the road?
I think over the long distance there's some possibilities, but in the short term, Laura, as you know, that program has not succeeded. Small numbers, probably excessively high standards of vetting, not a lot of enthusiasm on the part of the Syrian people. Thus far, that side of the equation has not been very successful.
And how big a concern do you think it is for your former colleagues at NATO, this exodus, the influx of migrants?
Extremely concerned, and on a couple of levels. First and foremost is the human crisis of this. Thousands of people drowning at sea, hundreds dying trying to cross these very dangerous borders. Young children, young women becoming victims to these smuggling outfits. It's a terrible human crisis. Secondly, within that slipstream of humanity, Laura, hundreds of thousands of migrants moving, the jihadists will be able to insert themselves and come into Europe proper. That's a very bad combination, and I think from a NATO perspective, we have to take that very seriously.
Even if there is a risk of jihadists coming in with the influx of migrants, Europe is trying to resettle 160,000 refugees. There are calls here in the US by senators for America to take 65,000. What do you think?
I think the United States should take somewhere between 50 and 100,000 refugees. This is not a European problem. This is a transatlantic problem. And the essence of the NATO alliance, the essence of that transatlantic relationship is that we're partners and allies who help each other in times of need. This is certainly a time for that kind of help from the United States to support our friends and allies in Europe.
Admiral James Stavridis, thank you for joining us.